Not as close as Lucius has frequently been in the last 24 hours, but close enough. I can sense something coming off of him. I can almost feel the maliciousness of him seeping into the air around us, polluting the atmosphere. Whether it's just my imagination or not, I don't know, but I'm shaking in fright. The Dark Lord has ordered that you look at him, Mudblood. Lucy's voice again. He's angry with me. I can hear it. You will obey your new master. Yesterday I would have told Lucius that I was no one's master, let alone the so-called Dark Lord. But I can't. If Lucius scares me, there's nothing to compare to how I feel in his master's presence. Voldemort chuckled softly. I see you're losing your touch, Lucius. He's taunting me. Taunting him. His voice is as soft as sinister. And as sinister as a snake's belly moving through the cold, long grass. Before you went to Azkaban, you could make grown men crawl at your feet. Now it seems you can't even force a schoolgirl to do your bidding. I lost that accent hardcore. Nervous laughter runs through the Death Eaters, and then Lucius speaks. His voice is tight. If I may, my lord. I see my feet. I see his feet move towards me, and his wand jerks downwards. I feel an invisible weight on my back, pushing me down onto all fours on the ground by their feet. My palms graze slightly at the stone. I try to push myself up, but the force won't shift from my back. It's alright. This isn't real obedience. I don't want to be crawling in front of him. There's no invisible grip on my chin. There's an invisible grip on my chin. It wrenches my head up, forcing me to face the pair of them. No. It's not human. His face. Voldemort's face. It can't be human. It's like a snake's, but then like a man's, and those eyes, they're red, with slits for pupils. And that's not even the most terrible thing about him. There's no light, no soul behind those eyes. Looking in them is like looking into an abyss of evil. He runs those terrible eyes over my face, looking most disappointed. I can't keep from looking at him. I may not be able to move my head, but I can still move my eyes, and I shift them from Voldemort, and they rest on Lucius's face. His face, which I had hated so much yesterday, is at least human. His eyes might be cold, but there's something there, something human anyways. So this is Hermione. I keep doing my Lucius voice for Voldemort, knowing it's Voldemort, and then I try to do my Lucius voice for Lucius, and it turned into some bullshit, creepy, weird, not right accent. So this so this is Hermione Granger, and you and your son have told me so much about Lucius. Voldemort is speaking to Lucius, but I can see out of the corner of my eye that he's still looking at me. From what I told you this morning, I was expecting a bit more spirit from her. I have to confess I'm disappointed. Watching them attempt to fight against us is always amusing. It seems that your presence has knocked some of the arrogance out of her, my lord. Lucius begins, his voice smooth. Voldemort breathes a small laugh. You have lost your ability to say the right things to all the right people then, Lucius. I hate myself for not fighting back. But although yesterday my instinct was to struggle, all of my courage has deserted me. I have never, ever been so afraid in my life. I thought myself terrified yesterday, but now I felt then pales in comparison to how I feel now. Look at me. I can't look at that again. I keep my eyes on Lucius, who meets my gaze with a frown. Look at me! I feel a tearing pain streak across my face. I suck in my breath and I look at Voldemort despite myself. I look into those eyes, soulless red eyes, as he speaks to me. "Ah, little mudblood," he says, his small smile on his face. "If you only knew just how useful you are going to prove to be. You have spent your entire life being worthless, unwanted, and by either our or your own people. But you shall, at this, the very end of your life, prove so helpful to the cause that it may be the only thing that gives your life meaning." The end of my life. They're going to kill me. I knew deep down already. Of course I did, but now he's confirming it. They're going to get what they need, and then they're going to kill me. I'm never going to see my mom, or dad, or Ron, or Harry again. You need to ask yourself this. How willing are you to help us? He won't move his eyes off of mine. They fill me with ice. Will you make our task that much easier, or will you discover just how much pain you are capable of withstanding? How can I answer that? I say I'll help them, and I make myself a traitor. I say I won't, and they'll torture me. I can't face either of those outcomes. And so I keep quiet. Those eyes don't look angry. They don't think there's enough humanity in those eyes for them to be angry. But they darken somehow. And then he speaks, his voice rises in rage. "Answer me, girl!" The dark pain that sharp pain crosses my face again. I gasp, but I won't answer. "Do you see this?" He's almost shouting now. "Do you see how this innocent little mudblood disobeys me?" He moves back to his throne and sits himself down on it. Weird sentence. For a long while silence fills the room. As he looks at me long and hard, I can feel a shiver run down through the Death Eaters. It seems they are more scared of his silence than they are of his words. "Punish her for me, Lucius." I look at Lucius, who is already raising his wand. He remains still for a moment, with his wand in midair, before flicking it rather heavily at me in a sideways motion. It's as if a huge metal fist is punching me hard in the stomach. All the air is knocked out of me, and as my insides take a bruising, God, it hurts. My head falls forward, and my back curls over as I gasp for breath. "You will answer me, girl!" That's Voldemort's voice again. I look up at him, breathing heavily through my nose, and I move my gaze to Lucius, whose eyes are as cold and detached as ever. How can you hurt someone like that, and not feel even the slightest bit guilty about it? I don't care. He's not important. I force my gaze back onto Voldemort, and I give the only answer I can give to this question. "I'll tell you nothing." I can move myself up off the ground, but I still hold up my head as high as I can, breathing hard in an attempt to get rid of the ache in my stomach and ribs. "You can torture me, you can kill me, and I'm sure you'll do both, but I won't let you win this war. The pain will be no doubt inflicted on me, will mean nothing to me as long as I'm suffering for what is right." Voldemort smiles. It's not a smile. The way his lips have stretched back is terrifying. No smile should look like that. He raises his wand. "Crucio!" Oh, it was hella deep. He's supposed to have a high voice. Yikes. "Crucio!" Oh God. Oh, this is the first Crucio. Should I read the? Okay, I'm just gonna read this like really, really, really fast. Oh God, it's pain, such pain like I've never felt before. It's like every nerve of my body is on fire, and I know that nothing but agony. I crawl on the floor, my hands, my arms, my face. It just won't stop. It won't stop. God help me, I can't take it. Stillness, miraculous stillness, and freedom from pain. I lie on the floor, pressing my head against the stone wall. I'm shivering, and I ache all over. And there's a laugh. There's a laugh. The Death Eaters, Voldemort, and Lucius, all laughing at me. I just went through the most physical pain in one sitting that I've ever experienced in an entire life time, and they're laughing at me. Jesus Christ. Pain doesn't bother you, mudblood. That's Voldemort's voice. Your indifference is, well, disgusting. Pain doesn't seem to bother you Pain seems to bother you immensely. I raise my head. I stare at Lucius, who is looking at me with a gloating smile. It's easier, so much easier to look at him than it is to look at Voldemort. This is your moment, isn't it? I think, letting all of my hatred and all my anger channel into him. You can watch me get what you think I deserve while you stand by, not having to administer the punishment yourself. You coward. I'm only meant to think that, not to say it, but I can feel my lips moving, mouthing the words silently. Lucius is looking at me, and the laughter dying away from his face. I think he knows what I said. Voldemort isn't watching me anymore. He turns to Lucius, who turns his face away from me and towards his master. I'll give you charge of her, Voldemort says to Lucius, his voice curt, as if giving his servant his orders. I believe you understand when I tell you that although the information she gives us will no doubt be important, I do not have time to waste on acquiring it. They want information out of me. They'll torture me for it. And then they'll kill me. Don't let them win. I want everything she says written down, word for word. Voldemort goes on. You may enlist others to assist you if necessary, as long as they haven't any important assignments to carry out. He pauses for a moment. I don't care how you do it. Just get the necessary information out of her. You do understand